Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse on the LCC Network for week 21 of the fantasy offseason in our fantasy football league. We've got another great episode for you. We're only a little over a week away from the rookie draft deadline to commit to get in. But how's it going, guys?
What's up?
I am excited to be here. This is the second time we've done this opening. We kind of messed up the first one. We are doing this on a Tuesday instead of a Friday. Trying to get this out a little bit early due to scheduling.
God, thanks, Patrick.
So dude, all I was going to say was scheduling. I wasn't going to blame it on Pat, but due to scheduling, so we were a little bit off, but we are back. So quick rundown. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at the LC Clubhouse. Be sure to continue commenting on videos between now and June 14th with what you'd like to see in our free ball episode on the 28th. So far, we've got Mufali, Jordan, and Cody who have commented. They are in the drawing to win the OBJ photo so far. Nobody else has, but you still have time. Rookie draft commitment picks are due by June 2nd. Patrick mentioned we're getting close to the rookie draft. That's going to take place June 14th to June 16th, 14th to 16th. So we'll actually get a message thread up on the board for each conference so you guys can begin placing those bids. And be sure to listen next week to our rookie preview episode, draft preview episode. We'll talk about significant rookies and where you should draft them, what their value is, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and just to make sure you guys listen to all of our episodes, not just next week.
Yeah.
Just to put that up.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the rookie one. Yeah, all of them would be preferable for sure. But one more thing too, if you ever, we do a quick question segment sometimes to open the show. If you guys ever want to be a part of that, you want to send a question, a statement, something you agree with, disagree with, feel free to send that in. And we'll open up the show by talking about that, or even in the show by talking about that. So feel free to send that into us via text or even a voice memo. If you do it that way, we'll actually put it in the podcast. And so people can hear it and whatnot too. So feel free to do that.
And try to be clean when you guys send in. If you guys send in a voice memo, and Cody, you cannot send anything in. Sorry.
Isaac does not like to be challenged. It upsets him a lot. He starts crying on the podcast. We can't have any of that. So two segments we got today. Memorial Day foods. Memorial Day is coming up next Monday, so we're comparing NFL players to Memorial Day foods, traditional foods. And then we've got the first installment of a 5-part series we're doing this offseason called the Fantasy 4, where we are going to basically break down 4 LCC teams tonight, talk about everything from their rosters to their draft capital, waiver wire picks they could get, what we think they're going to do this year, kind of give every owner in the league, kind of their own time to shine, I guess. So get a chance to talk about you. So, but with that, Pat, I'll turn it over to you to kick off our Memorial Day food section.
Let's do it. So my Memorial Day food and player, I'm going to start off with the food. Ice, man. It's one of those things you cannot go to a tailgate or a cookout or a barbecue without. Like, if you're the dude that shows up with drinks and you are also responsible for ice, you might as well not even brought the drinks because there's no point. You know what I mean? Especially if you're outside. It's a fundamental piece that you have to have. And if you don't have it, you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt for not getting it. And my comparison to this is TJ Watt, not to be mistaken for JJ Watt, which in the first take I actually said by accident. So again, TJ Watt, who can now be counted as a defensive end and not a linebacker, which definitely increases his value. He averaged 27 points a game last year. Sure, not all of his games were pretty, but the majority of them were amazing. And it's a guy I'm super excited about to have. I would actually rather have TJ than JJ. Some people are probably disagreeing with me as I'm saying this, but if you look at where you can draft these guys, man, it's like night and day. TJ Watt is a guy you've got to have this year. If you miss on him, you're going to be regretting it just like you would if you didn't get that ice. Oh, that was kind of corny. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so he's laughing at himself now.
Yeah, this is the kind of show we're promoting. Thanks a lot, Patrick. Now I know no one listens to us.
No.
All right, so my food, it's not really food, just like ice was not food, as we all know. Mine's actually a condiment, not a condom, condiment that you put on, per se, a hot dog.
Wait, we're talking about condiments, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
are we
Okay.
still talking about
If
the same
the-
thing now? Like, now I'm a little
Condiment.
more confused.
You said hot dog. I'm even more confused now.
I said
Oh,
it's a
man.
condiment that you put on a hot dog.
I know.
Nobody eats this. What about to say like by itself? It's relish. Who the hell eats relish by themselves? Anyway, instead of just doing one, I thought it would be two good guys I could put on there to compare with relish, and it is no other than Mike Davis and Jordan Howard. They can be a compliment to a hot dog, running back by committee, can enhance the flavor, but really shouldn't be on there at all. I mean, there's more dominant condiments like, mustard and ketchup, per se, Miles Sanders and David Montgomery. I don't like relish. I don't like either one of these guys either. So
What you're saying is you wouldn't take a spoonful of relish by itself. It has to be on something else. So it's a complement to a main course, which is what Jordan Howard and Mike Davis are. That's what you're saying.
And I wouldn't
they don't
eat
stand
them.
alone.
Yes.
Okay. If I had a
Jordan
dollar,
Jordan Howard could, but he can't catch the ball, so he's not. So they're both going to be, they're never going to be the star players on their teams.
that makes sense. I was thinking about it when you said David Montgomery. If I had a dollar for every time you said David Montgomery in the podcast, we could afford to do giveaways every single week. I think.
Hey,
I'm gonna do like a compilation like later in the summer of every time you've said David Montgomery, and just like string it together and play it on the podcast. That'd be funny. I don't know if we got time to do that though. That would take like 9 minutes. So my Memorial Day food we've got here. I've got Sterling Shepherd. I'm comparing him to watermelon. So
racist.
he's not. No.
You all love watermelon.
I love watermelon. So he's not a main course, right? Like no one goes to Memorial Day picnic or anything or to cookout and has just watermelon, right? You start with burgers and hot dogs and everything, and then you get to watermelon afterwards, right? And that's exactly what Sterling Shepherd is. He's not your wide receiver 1, and he shouldn't be. But if he's your wide receiver 3 and you can plug him in sometimes on a bye week or on a good matchup, I think he can be really successful. And I think he's going to be really undervalued. He got re-signed this year. He doesn't have any competition for catches besides Saquon Barkley. Really, OBJ's gone. He finishes wide
Golden
receiver.
Tate.
I'm not worried about Golden Tate. He finishes wide receiver 31 last year. I think he can do better than that this year. So I think he's going to be undervalued, someone that people aren't really looking at, that can really be that watermelon, that thing that you really look forward to after the main course. So just be sure to keep an eye on him. But that's all we've got. If you guys got any Memorial Day foods you want to comment, feel free to do that. I'd love to hear these things. They're pretty fun. But yeah, guys, with that, we'll just transition.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys, we're out. Bye. But
oh man, it's dirty.
Dirty. What if everyone listening just stopped right there and just got off? Our average listening time is like 8 minutes for this episode. We'll start. We'll go right into the fantasy 4 here. So four rosters we wanted to talk about. We'll keep doing these throughout the off season. They're not going to be week after week after week. They're going to be kind of fit in where we got time. But we're going to kick it off with our first 4 here today. So we'll go ahead and start with our first one here. We've got Storm. So we wanted to start with the Top Shotters Conference. We've got 5 major categories here. We're not going to dive too much into some of the stuff we've already talked about, specifically with keepers and things like that. So it's going to be kind of more of an eagle's eye view of some things. But so 5 categories are roster grade, biggest roster needs, potential waiver wire additions, draft capital grade, and then classification. And there's 4 categories to that. Rebuild, someone who won't make the playoffs, a team that is in the hunt. That's a potential wild card team that could be a threat. A pretender. So this is a team that could sneak into the playoffs, possibly win a division, but isn't a real threat. And then you've got a contender, which is a potential division winner and a very serious threat to the title. So we'll start right with the roster grade. This is a current roster grade based on what Storm's got going on now. And we gave him a consensus plus grade. So fairly average grade. And we did this by basically comparing him to 20 other teams, really. So there's not we didn't really use a specific numeric parameter to break all these down. It was mostly just comparison across other teams. So, so guys, why did we rank him so low relative to other teams?
I'll start it off, man. I mean, honestly, when I first took a look at Storm's team, I didn't look at where these players were kept at, if that makes any sense, like on the draft board. I looked at the keepers. I was like, man, Storm has a really good roster to kick off the year. I really like it. Probably one of the better rosters he's ever gone into the year with. But when I looked a little bit more closely at his keepers and stuff, I mean, not his keepers, his draft board, it's scary, man. When you're looking at a team that just came off a year where he didn't make the playoffs, now he's in a much more competitive division. You know, you need these kind of draft picks. And if you're not picking till like the middle of round 4, that's your first pick. That's really scary. I hope that Storm is thinking about trading for a draft pick in between rounds 1 and 3. Not sure how he could pull it off, but I'm sure if he got creative, he could do something. That's just one of the big kickers for me against Storm is, man, all of his keepers were literally between rounds 1 and 7. One of the few owners that has that many keepers that early on. He only has 3 picks in the first 7 rounds. That's tough.
Yeah, that was really what went into me giving him such a low draft capital grade, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But
he's only got 2 picks in the top 7.
Yeah, 2 picks in the top 7.
Yeah, sorry.
I think the reason I graded his roster so low was, one, he kept the quarterback in the first round. We talked a little bit about that. I don't want to dive too much into it. A great quarterback, but not super excited about it. He's only got 1 DB. I'm a guy who starts 3. I know not everyone does that. I start 3 DBs. So for me, it's just a matter of preference. When I see a guy only has 1 DB heading into the waiver wire or the rookie draft, out of being able to keep 9 players, he's got 1 DB. That's not good for me, especially if it's someone like Kevin Bayard. It's not even like a top tier guy.
Yeah, it's not a good one to have. So
yeah. So basically, he doesn't have any DBs as far as I'm concerned. He's got Levante David in his linebacker core, which is really good. And then he's got Michael Thomas and Melvin Gordon. So he's only got 1 receiver. And then he does have a running back, but that running back's on his last year of his contract with Storm. So when I kind of looked at his roster and I looked at it across everyone else. Some other teams we're going to dive into, some other teams we won't tonight. But I wasn't blown away. I was like, meh, it's okay. Meh. You know, compared to the guys that are in his division, it's not nearly good enough for what he's going to need to beat Colby and Cody. So that's really where I think I gave him a C+ was my grade. I don't remember, but his consensus came out to be a C+. So not promising there yet. We'll kind of dive into another category here. Biggest roster needs. So me and Isaac kind of broke this down early, but he needs a wide receiver 2 desperately. He needs another starting wide receiver. He needs a DB1, which we just talked about. He needs to get somebody to start that's not Kevin Bayard. He needs another linebacker because the 3 of us start 2 linebackers every week. I mean, I do. Don't you guys? Do you guys start 2 linebackers?
Yeah.
Basically?
I start at least
Exactly.
2.
So this is a matter of preference. Not everyone does that. We do. So he has no other linebackers on his course. He needs another linebacker. And he needs some depth at running back behind Melvin Gordon, who's known to be injury prone. Last year of his contract with Storm, he needs to get another running back there. So we put together, for me, I think that kind of goes into his roster grade too. He has 4 big needs that we can identify right off the bat, right? We don't see that with every team. There are other teams like John where you're like, does this guy even have a need? And you see Storm he didn't even have half his roster filled out, half his starting roster filled out. So then that goes into it too. But I mean, when you guys look at his needs, what's the biggest thing that you see? Like, what does he have to target first on the waiver wire or the rookie draft?
All right, so I'll start with this one since Pat took the other one. It's also, you have to think about how much depth is there in the waiver wire. Is there more offensive players, more defensive players? Are the defensive players even worth a high pick? Or is it just something you should go offense heavy and then just go defensive heavy in the draft? Well, when we're looking at it, there's a couple guys on defense that could be, stars, potentially, if they stay healthy and whatnot. But there was more depth with offensive players, with your running backs and your wide receivers. So with me, I would probably go wide receiver or running back here, if I was him.
With his first pick in his waiver wire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you could choose from like a Sammy Watkins, DJ Moore, Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp. wide receiver, or you could do Damian Williams, Marlon Mack, Lamar Miller, Kenyon Drake in the top shot of conference, because all those guys would be there.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty big names to be there in the first round.
Who would you guys
So-
pick out of those 4 wide receivers to pair with Michael Thomas? Sammy Watkins, DJ Moore, Julian Edelman, or Cooper Kupp?
Don't say DJ Moore, because I know you both are Panther fans.
I'm tempted to say DJ
Oh.
Moore, but that's not who I would pick.
I was about to say I'm tempted to, but I would have to go with Cooper Kupp.
Man, you love Cooper Kupp.
I do, man. I really
would
do.
go Sammy Watkins.
I would go Sammy Watkins as well. I would go Sammy Watkins. If Tyreek Hill doesn't play, which it doesn't look like he will, I would go Sammy Watkins. But, I mean, they're all good. I think they're all really good. If he can get one of those guys with Michael Thomas, I would feel much better about his roster. You know?
Yeah.
So he'll get there, but he's just not there yet. No, that's really good observations. I think if he were to go a different direction, go DB, I know I see Isaac that you put here, Clayton Gathers, Justin Evans, Eric Weddle, Ronald Darby. I don't feel great about all those guys, but Justin Evans, I like. Eric Weddle, I like. Eric Berry, if he signs with the team, could be really useful. And here's a guy that I was thinking about too, Ronnie Hillman in Jacksonville. 3rd-round pick from a couple years back. He's going to be starting in the strong safety position now in Jacksonville.
Rodney Harrison, not Hillman. Hillman was a running back. Talking about the safety from Alabama?
Yeah, is it Harrison?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Harrison. Man. I'm all distracted.
Ronnie Hillman was that really crappy running back for the Broncos way back when.
But it's Ronnie Harrison, not Rodney Harrison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yep. He's strong safety in Jacksonville on a great defense. He could. I mean, no one knows who he is, so I don't. You don't really know what you're going to get, but he could be valuable. So Storm's got the good thing. So Storm's the good thing about Storm's situation is he could really do anything. He's not locked into one position like some guys are, where they have to get a running back or they have to get a safety.
He honestly may have one of the more well-balanced rosters. Like, take away draft picks, take away draft capital, which we'll talk about in a little bit, like you said. But, I look at it and it's well-balanced. And that's one thing I do like, because he can go best player overall with his waiver wire pick or even his first pick and whatever round it ends up being.
Yeah. And he's got 4 picks, so he could actually get multiple, like a lot of these guys, really. I guess is how it could turn out. I don't know how many picks they have on the waiver wire, but it's not many. It's something like 16 or 17, about the same as we do. So he
Wow.
could actually end up with multiple guys
Wow,
off this
that's
list. So Storm, if you're listening, man, go get them, build that roster. Real quickly here to finish, kind of round out Storm, I guess. Draft capital, we gave him a C-. Again, this kind of goes back to waiver wire, a lot of picks, but he only has 2 of his top 7 draft picks, which is bad, which means he can't really compete in a rookie draft. He can't do much
And
in
the
the regular
first one's
draft.
not until the 4th round at that.
Yeah, exactly. His first 3 are gone. So his draft capital is just lousy compared to other teams. I mean, we've seen guys without great draft capital still be successful, but it's a lot
I.e.
harder.
me last year.
Oh God, Isaac. It's
Just saying, you got to give me some props last year. I was in the same situation. Like, my first top 5 rounds were gone. And that's when I traded Bobby Wagner for a 2nd and a 5th, and somehow made the playoffs the next year.
Well, you were more
So, I mean,
active, like trading
It can
and moving around.
be done. It can be done. He just has to be active and put in the effort.
It can. It's just tough. It's just tough if you haven't been active. So we gave him a C- on his draft capital, probably one of the lower grades of the night in that area. Actually, probably the lowest of the night in that area. And then finally, with all that being said, we've got a classification here for Storm of these 4 columns: rebuild, in the hunt, pretender, and contender. We went with the rebuild classification, meaning that he won't make the playoffs. He's in rebuild mode. He's got work to do. In all fairness, not all of that's his fault. He's with Cody and Colby. So regardless of how good his team was, he probably wasn't going to make the playoffs anyway. So that's not all Storm's fault, I don't think. But I mean, it's just going to be a tough road for him, man. He's already in a rough spot. He's got 2 great competitors in that division. So I guess we'll see you drafting early next year, Storm. But at least that's what we think, So, but any thoughts on Storm before we move on to other guy here, guys?
Nope.
No.
Go ahead.
No.
I think it's about it.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, Storm, if you have anything that you want to add or did like or didn't like, feel free to comment or text us. But We'll move on to our next guy here. We've got Peyton from our conference here. We gave him a current roster grade of an A. So I don't know where you guys were. I don't remember exactly. I think I had him in an A or an A minus on his roster grade. We all feel really good about it. And the reason for that is he's been pretty active, I think, this year. I'm actually going to scroll over here to Peyton and see what he's got. So he's got Saquon Barkley is stud running back. He's got 2 great linebackers. And then on top of that, he traded for Julio Jones and Jordan Poyer, and he's got Odell Beckham Jr. So his receivers are set, his running back set, his linebackers are set, and he's got a stud DB already as well. So he's really filled out a lot of his roster. But is there anything that you guys do or don't like about his roster so far?
His DBs.
There's nothing I don't like. I mean,
he needs
Go
more
ahead.
of them. You only got one.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
he's got to find another one, and he's got to also draft a quarterback.
Yes.
So it's got and defensive line. So he's got a little bit more work to do, but he is in one of the best positions out of any owner in the league, really.
Yep, he is. He's still got his.
You guys want to know what my
Go ahead.
You guys want to know what my not so bold prediction is for Peyton?
What's that?
He goes DB with his first 2 picks. He's got a first and third round pick, man. I think I could see it happening. Like you said, Isaac.
Well, he has to. He's not going to
Yeah.
go quarterback that high. So,
No, he'd be crazy.
but my biggest thing is there's not going to be that much talent in the draft in our conference for DBs.
no,
so it's like-
he's gonna have to do the first round for sure, because after that there's gonna be no one.
That 3rd round pick is who the hell
Backup.
knows who that's going to be? Yeah, that's going to be like
gonna
a
be a
Devin
backup.
McCourty potentially, because like there's really nobody there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But at least he's got Poyer to anchor it. But yeah, you're right. If there was one thing I could be critical of, it's DBs. He needs more of them. If he's going to start 3, I mean, he does have a stud running back. Maybe he drafts I don't know, a Josh Jacobs and wants to start 2 running backs instead. I don't know what his plan is, but I think if I were him, I'd be going after DBs for sure.
Well, he is known for that because his first year he had
He's
Kamara and Elliott.
an Elliott.
And
Yeah.
then he traded Elliott, and then he had Kamara and Barkley last year.
Yep.
And
I
now
will
he's going to
say
have
this, though.
Barkley, and we'll see.
Are you guys a little surprised he kept D Ford over, let's say, like one of his other DBs that he had?
Oh,
Eric
yeah,
Reed,
I forgot he
for
kept D
example?
Ford.
Yes.
Yeah,
A little bit.
He traded Eric Reed. He traded Eric Reed
Oh,
for Lamar
right.
Jackson.
that's right.
Was Eric Reed kept?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Billy kept
Oh,
him.
Billy. Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, there goes your waiver wire pick, Patrick.
I know.
that you
I've
want.
all off season since January. I've been talking about, man, I want Eric Reed in the first round. Like I've just been keeping it like close to heart and telling as few people as possible. So maybe he follows me, but he gets traded. Kind of a bummer for sure.
Well, Peyton can go get a good running back to sit behind Barkley on the waiver wire if he wants to. If there's not a DB there that he likes,
Oh yeah,
he doesn't
I
have.
think that's what he does.
Yeah, he easily could. He doesn't have a ton of need. DB2 and RB2 is all we had for him. Besides the quarterback, obviously, he's only got Lamar Jackson. But so I mean, really, that kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about. Same thing as Storm. He could get Justin Evans, Jaquiski Tart, Ronald Darby, or go running back Marlon Mack, Kenyon Drake, Lamar Miller, Sony Michel, Kerryon Johnson. So any of those guys, but he's in a good spot. So draft capital, we also gave Peyton an A consensus. The reason for that is he still has 3 of his top 5 picks in the draft, even after keeping all of those guys. And he was still able to keep a waiver wire pick in the first round. So he has value on both sides of that. He's got rookie draft capital. He's got a solidified roster. He's just in a really good spot. I mean, we feel really good about him. I know we said this last year, but something just feels different about it this year with him. I feel like he's
Jameson.
Yep.
He's got 4 picks in the top 5 rounds. Remember, he traded Aaron Rodgers for Billy's 2nd round pick.
Oh, that's
So
right.
he's got
I forgot about that because the way our document is, it's not listed there. It's in Billy's section. But you're right. He's got the first pick of the 2nd round
he's
as
got
well.
1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th round pick.
Not just the 2nd, the first pick of the 2nd. So he's got his first. Wow. Yeah, he is. He's set up, man. He could easily. I mean, he could really do what he wants. Get rookies. He's set up. He's in a real good spot. I think Cameron and Billy need to look out. And this is what I was kind of referring to like a month back when everyone's like, oh, Billy's the team to beat. Billy's the best team in the conference. And I'm looking at Peyton. I'm like, man, Peyton can smack him down with his roster and what he can do with his roster with all the capital he's got. So,
hey, speaking of that, where you got our classification for him?
So classification, we have got Peyton as a straight up contender, a potential division winner, and a very serious threat to the title. So, Peyton, I'm sure you're glad to hear that. Billy and Cameron, you might have some work to do this year, guys. He's gonna come out swinging. He's taking it very serious in the offseason, as evidenced by his trades and his moves that he's done. So
he's not really forcing anything either. He's just really just sitting back and just doing stuff on the dark. And really, once the light showed, it's like, wow, he really did put in some really good work this past offseason.
Yeah,
so far.
Yeah, he's not reaching, but yeah. And speaking of Peyton, it reminds me of Billy, and I cannot wait to talk about Billy's team. I'm so excited to talk about Billy's team and what he's going to do. But that'll be for another episode. So
he's going to shred your team, Billy. Don't get excited.
me or Peyton? Who are you talking about?
You.
I hope so. All right, so
no, I'm talking about when you're talking about his team, you're just gonna like completely shred his team and just talk bad about his team.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna shred it. I'm just gonna point out what I noticed. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna like tear him apart or anything like that.
I'll do the good and the bad. I hate him. Check.
I hate Mark Cooper. That's all I'll say about Billy. Be like, Mark Cooper, we're done, and just move on to the next team.
Drops the mic.
Drops the mic. So Peyton, this is for you.
If you want to crown them, then crown their.
So we're excited to see what you do, but another team here that we feel like can be a contender is Colby. So we've got Colby. We're going to talk about.
Way to spoil the last classification for this in the first second. Just skipped the first, second, third, and fourth, and went straight to. All right, so as we know, we got him as in the hunt, potential wild card, and could be a threat to the title.
Yeah, he's in the hunt. He isn't
to one.
Yeah, he's not a straight up contender because Cody's in that division with him, but he's an in the hunt potential wild card. I didn't mean to spoil it. I just had to segue from Peyton to Colby without it being awkward, and that was the easiest way to do it. So, sorry about that. But let's break it down a little bit. We gave him a consensus roster grade of a B minus, so not as high as Peyton, but not as low as Storm, and really because he kind of falls in the middle. So let me go to Colby here. He's got really good depth. I think he's got good balance. Zeke, Keenan Allen on his offense, Tremaine Edmonds, Rashad Jones, Zach Brown on his defense, 2 linebackers and a safety. He didn't get more because he doesn't have anybody else. That's the only 5 guys he got. Again, he's kind of being penalized for only having 1 DB and one that, I don't know if he's a DB1 anymore. He's kind of old and he's injured last year, but he does have some young talent with Zeke and Tremaine Edmonds we're excited about. And he's a good player, so we gave him a solid roster grade.
And the new head coach at the Dolphins likes to do the 3 safety defense, like he did in New England last year with Deron Harmon and Patrick Chung and Devin McCourty. So any Dolphins DBs values are really going to be kind of ticked down because there's going to be 3 of them rotating constantly.
So we saw McCourty hit like almost a career low last year for fantasy points.
Yeah.
So
I contributed to that defensive scheme.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't work. It's just that it doesn't work if you got an IDP safety out there in your roster.
If they're losing
there's only
snaps.
there's only one team out there that's successful at it, and that's the Chargers. They got Derwin James and Adrian Phillips. Adrian Phillips averaged 28.9 points per game, and obviously we know Derwin James was the top 5 DB. That third guy was like 22 points last year.
Yeah, so pretty low for us.
Yeah. So Rashad Jones, the really question mark is he going to be one of the good ones or is he going to be one of the bad ones? Because they also have Micaiah Fitzpatrick, who can play corner and free safety, and then you also have TJ McDonald, who can play both. So that's the 3 guys that he's got to. Well, the 2 other guys he's got to compete with.
Yeah, and that's why Peyton got the A. Is he had studs across all positions. Colby's only got studs across a few positions. We're not sure about Rashad Jones. We're not sure about Zach Brown, and he doesn't have anybody else. So that's why he got the B minus roster grade. He does have a few needs, very similar to Storm. He absolutely needs a wide receiver 2 behind Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's already been injury prone as it is, and I think Mike Williams has a big year and can eat into Keenan Allen's targets this year. But he needs a wide receiver 2. He needs another DB to pair with Rashad Jones, and he absolutely needs some depth at running back behind Zeke, whether it's suspensions or what have you. But he needs to build some depth there too. So Isaac, I mean, I know you did all these waiver wire picks. Is there anyone that you think Colby should be targeting first in the waiver wire?
Well, I would do one just to really piss off Cody, but I'm not.
I was looking at it at the show.
I got Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin's best available.
Option.
Did you just put that in?
I know, I saw that. I was trying not to laugh before you even got to it.
Did you just put that in? I didn't see that earlier. Is that new?
No, that's been in there.
Okay.
I didn't put Chris Godwin was the best available. I was saying best available wide receiver, whoever's left. When
of those 4. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
My biggest issue with him is he needs to get a wide receiver, like you said about Keenan Allen, and then Mike Evans. Mike Evans is
Mike Williams,
boss, by the way, but no, Mike Williams is going to be cutting into his catches and his injury history. So yeah, he needs a wide receiver. So I would probably go DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp there, but more. If I had to choose one, it would be DJ Moore.
Welcome to the Panthers side, Isaac. I knew you'd get here. It'd just take a while.
I chose him over Chris Godwin. I cannot believe that.
No, I would pick DJ Moore those 4 too. Patrick, you've been kind of quiet, man. Anyone that you think you should target on the first round of the waiver wire?
No, I agree. I think receiver would be great. I mean, you can essentially lock up your starting wide receiver core right here in the first round of the waiver wire. You don't have to think about it. Again, though, there is more depth in their draft. Perfect example, Cook is actually going to be in their draft, which blows my mind that he was not kept.
Cook?
Yeah.
What Cook?
The Cook.
Dalvin Cook is kept.
No, the Cook.
Brandon Cooks?
No, the Cook.
I'm so confused.
What are we talking about?
I'm just got Isaac going right now. No.
Oh God.
I was just stringing him along. Sorry. I'll see how long.
It's so easy. It's so easy sometimes with Isaac.
That's what she said.
We haven't played that in a long time.
That's what she said.
I wasn't ready.
No, Cook actually. Sorry, Dalvin Cook is the guy I was referring to. I'm almost positive he was let go this offseason.
No,
in the other conference, not ours.
No, he was traded. Remember Charles and
I think you're.
All right,
that's right.
So
You're right. Let
me get this right. Apparently, I've been saying Mando wrong, so he wants to pronounce it Mando. So I'm going to pronounce it Mando. Or Mandouche, as Mufali pointed out.
Mufali was saying.
So Mando, he traded Carry-On and Dalvin Cook switched. And remember, I roasted him for trading Amari Cooper for C.J. Mosley.
I forgot all about the Dalvin Cook trade. Dang, I was totally off on that one.
You can see Patrick he's on the podcast, doesn't even pay attention.
Patrick's like, what's going on, guys?
What's going on?
That's because he jumps on the day before the podcast and just starts taking notes.
That's right.
The day we do it.
That's right. No, but that, like I said, I like the idea of going receiver in that first round.
Who would you get?
Cooper Kupp.
I mean, I've already said it. Cooper Kupp. I mean, that's the guy I would go out of these.
God,
that's my boy.
Between David Montgomery and Cooper Kupp, man, we're just gonna have an entire episode dedicated to those two guys. But
I remember in the draft 2 years ago, Isaac joking around saying, "Oh, get Cooper Kupp," and dude, he exploded.
I told you. I mean, I called it. I just had too many receivers at that point. It's like Patrick saying Christian McCaffrey last year before I was on the show, and it just irked the hell out of my nerves.
Isaac, we used to do that on purpose, right? Like we would set things up just to talk about Christian McCaffrey to piss you off, like over and over and over.
We really would,
because we knew you listened right when it dropped every morning. We knew you put the headphones on at work and got right to it, and we're like, we're gonna piss him off at 8:00 on Monday morning, right when he gets into work. No, but yeah, Colby. to kind of get back on track here. We like his team. We gave him a draft capital grade of a B+. So the reason for that is he has a lot of his top picks. Only 2 of his top 8 are being kept. So he's got 6 of those top 8, lots of rookie draft capital, all of his waiver wire picks. So he has a lot of ability to move around. He has a lot of ability to pick up guys on the rookie draft. He's got his first round pick. So he doesn't have a lot of roster built yet, but a ton of capital to do it without giving up a lot so far. So he's got a good grade there.
He's got to step it up and be active, man.
He's got to be active. Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's kind of been less active over the last few years. He used to be so dominant. Now he's kind of like, I feel like he's kind of taking a step back, you know?
He's a meh now.
But he did get a classification, as we already talked about, of in the hunt, potential wild card player. Could be a threat if he gets in there and gets active. But he's not a legit contender yet, because those are kind of reserved for guys that we think are like almost automatic winners. Yeah. So not to put it so bluntly, I guess. But and then finally, we've got Jade here as our last team we wanted to talk about. Isaac wants me to play this.
Come on, man.
Oh man, you guys are hard on him.
I hit him with the double the double sound drops.
Double whammy.
The double whammy. So he's got a current roster grade of a C- is what we've got Jade with so far. Let me go back.
Trust me, mine was way worse than that. It was Patrick that had the B+ that skewed our average. I had like a D- or D+.
Yeah, I had a C on his grade. I don't like Kiko Alonso. Don't like Kareem Jackson.
Nope. I like James Conner. That's
and
it.
That was it. That's it. And Le'Veon Bell. He's got great running backs. No one's gonna have better running backs than him. But that's it. There's nothing else on his roster. So
yeah, Billy's going to Todd Gurley and Elliott.
Well, I'm already down on Todd Gurley this year, but yeah, Billy will have good running backs too. So
I would say Gurley and Bell cancel out. So then you got Zeke and
Zeke's
Connor.
better than Connor. Zeke's better than Connor.
Yeah.
So we gave him a roster grade of a C- because he's only got 4 players on his roster right now. We don't like half of them. At least I don't like half of them. His roster.
I don't like half of them.
I mean, Patrick, do you like Kiko Alonso? You have way too much in on him.
Well, here's the deal with Kiko Alonso. I mean, he kept him with his third round pick. He would have gone in the 3rd round in the draft. He was totally worth it, in my opinion, for that pick. It made sense to me.
Why not keep Robert Woods?
Robert Woods was where he messed up.
No, I was about to say that's where he messed up. He had an extra keeper. He could have kept Woods and the guys he already had. So he messed up there for sure. That was his biggest.
Mark Ingram, like we talked about on the last show with the Come On Man. Like,
yeah,
he had 2 guys he could have kept.
Mark Ingram, though, it's like he's not a guy I'm super big on this year, honestly. Like, I'd take him if I could get him, like maybe 2nd round in the waiver wire or something like that. But
you know what keeper he was for him? It was like chump change.
15
I know,
like
17.
I know.
I mean, regardless, I don't think any of us are
Jackson
excited about Kareem Jackson. Yeah,
well, it depends. Yeah. It literally depends where he ends up starting. There's so much in the
air.
I've already told you.
He's in Denver. He won't play safety. He's in Denver. He's not playing.
Well,
safety.
they had him. Yeah, they had him practicing with the safeties. Like, that's literally where.
Well, he's going to rotate in and out. That's all he's going to do. He's just going to be that.
We'll see. It just kind of.
He's
depends.
A hybrid.
We have a long time between now and week 1.
Darren Stewart's not with them anymore,
so he's going to play free safety. Then he's not playing strong safety.
Justin Simmons plays free safety.
No, then he would have to play strong. I mean, I know they're not going to sub Justin Simmons out.
And he's not. No pun intended. He's not strong enough to play strong safety. He's too little.
Everything I see has him plugged in at cornerback.
He's built as a corner.
Yeah.
He was a corner his whole career. It was just recently he started getting converted to safety because he's slower. He's older. He can't keep up with these fast wide receivers.
I mean, regardless, I'm not excited about him playing.
Kareem Jackson,
out of a second,
especially not for a 2nd round pick. No, thank you.
Yeah, Kareem Jackson's 5'10". Yeah, he's definitely a shorter guy to be playing safety. He's a little bit smaller. He's 31 years old.
Is he even 200 pounds?
I think he's over 200.
He's gotta be.
Yeah.
If it is, it's like 202 or something.
I think when he came out of the college, he was 185. So 6'9", 185, like the perfect, not even the perfect corner size, really kind of light, in my opinion. but he's a good tackler. That's the one thing you got to give him. Sure, he's small, but the dude can hit. It just depends. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of time between now and then. It's a risky keeper. I will say that. If it doesn't work out, he's really going to feel it. But if he is, basically where he left off last year, he's definitely worth a second round pick.
I mean, we'll see. C minus grade. He has a lot of needs at receiver. Basically, any of them, like any receivers. Luckily, there are a lot there, and he's got all 4 picks. He needs another DB to be with Kareem Jackson, and he needs another linebacker to be with Kiko Alonso. So we're not feeling great about his roster currently, although that can change a lot with his waiver wire picks. He's got the same access to the guys we've already talked about. Sammy Watkins, Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp. I think, do you have Jarvis Landry? Yeah, Jarvis Landry's here. Yeah, I like that. I'm really high on Landry. I'm higher than everyone else is, I think, on Jarvis Landry. He's got some linebackers here: Christian Kirksey, Mark Barron, Darren Lee. I'm not super excited about any of those guys, but if you need some depth late in the waiver wire, I think he could go there.
Kirksey's good when he's healthy.
Yeah, he's solid. But I'm not super excited
about. He was a 27 points per game guy last year.
Yeah. Where is Mark Barron playing now?
He's backing up Devin Bush
in Tampa.
In Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking Devin White.
And he was successful when he was him and Alec Ogletree were in the Rams.
Who, Mark Barron?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Remember, they were both fantasy relevant at the same time. So
yeah.
I feel like his fantasy value next year being behind Devin Bush is pretty good.
It could be solid. We'll see what happens. Bush. He has a draft capital grade of a C. So he really gets this grade because he's only got 1 of his top 4 picks in the draft, which is his first pick, luckily for him. But beyond that, he doesn't have another pick until the 5th round.
Don't blow it.
Don't blow it.
Yeah,
why would she say that?
That's what she said.
So
okay, he said
you really got to get that first pick, but you do have all 4 waiver picks. That's what kind of balanced out. It was kind of like a D grade, but he's got the waiver picks in his first round pick, so it's kind of a C. Is what we ended up being. I think Patrick was a little bit nicer to him than we were. And Isaac,
not a little bit, a lot.
And Isaac, but Isaac, in all fairness, is pretty harsh. Like, he was harsher than on all of these than I was, I think, when I went and put mine in.
I'm a realist. I say how it is. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's just how it is.
You sound like every kid in my high school that people wanted to punch. I just say what I say, man. I just say how it is.
But the difference is sometimes, like, you can conversate and we can argue or bicker and stuff like that, and like I could see where you're coming from, but it's not.
You do argue with like everybody, like in the group chat. Nobody argues as much as you do about almost everything, which is fun.
Hey, what's my name in what's my name in this little segment here? Say it.
Master debater.
Exactly. I'm a very good. I'm a master at debating. I mean, I'm just really good at it. So.
I mean, just because you do it doesn't mean you're a master at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that'd be like I'm a master sitter because I sit in chairs all the time.
No, I will say this: like we're all on the Jade bandwagon in terms of talking bad about him, but I mean, you can't deny, like you guys said, he's probably got one of the best, probably top 3 running back duos in the entire league.
That's it.
Historically, historically speaking, you look at the teams that did finish with those running backs, and they had a duo. They 9 times out of 10 they were in the playoffs, and in some cases they're winning a championship. So at least a conference championship. You can look at Kyle.
I mean, perfect example. Are you really saying that he's going to win a championship? Do you really feel? Are you scared to play Jade?
No, I'm not scared to play him, but
exactly.
I'm just saying he can catch you on a bad week. You know,
so real quickly, Isaac made an entire category just for Jade, basically, and maybe a couple other guys, called the pretender category, a potential division winner, but he isn't a real threat. The reason Isaac did that is because he could win his division, but Isaac feels zero confidence that he could actually win a title this year. So Jade is in that.
He's not going to get through our side, first of all. And then he's sure as hell not going to beat Cody or Mufali or possibly Hunter
Three
on
of
the
those
other
guys.
side. Or Armando.
So yes, that's where we've got to rank. Back to Patrick's
What he's
point.
saying now is great.
Yeah, now he's very
Mando.
careful about it. Armando.
Mando.
I always thought Mando sounded weird anyway. I was like, oh, that can't be right, Isaac. But Isaac just went with it. I was like, all right, whatever. But back to your point, Patrick. I mean, I think it is important for us to acknowledge that, it sounds like we may be attacking guys just because it's fun or whatnot. But all we're doing is really just analyzing the teams. And sure, it is our perspective.
They're making it easy for us. I mean, that's really
well. I mean, it's our perspective. We value certain positions over others and whatnot. So people may have different ideas, but I mean, if teams turn around, we're more than willing to completely change how we view that team, like we've done with Charles and like we've done with other teams. I mean, I could change my opinion if Jay does more things and looks legit, but nothing last year made me believe that. Even though he won his division, his metrics weren't great, his roster wasn't great. He got beat in the first round. I mean, there just wasn't.
I mean, he made the playoffs at 5-7.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
and then his points per game, like his total, he was the lowest out of anybody.
I think we can all agree though that his division this year is going to be probably twice as difficult as it was last year, just from what we're seeing on Mike's end.
Yeah.
With actually keeping all the players he can keep.
So now instead of a 2 overall grade, it's going to be a 4. Yeah, 1 out of 10 would be a 4. If it's twice as difficult this year. No, but I mean, I just wanted to say that because sometimes I don't want people to think that we're just attacking teams as it's fun or because we don't like a guy or whatever. That's never the case.
They're bullies. They're bullies.
We're just bullies.
Prove me wrong and I'll shut up about it.
Well, there you go. There you go. But this is a lot of fun. I just like to break it down. Every team's going to get their spotlight this year or this offseason except the 3 of us. We're not going to do that. So listen for that. Let us know if you have any thoughts on any of these guys. Any of the guys that were listed, if you're not happy with where you are or what we graded you, feel free to comment too. We love discussing this stuff. We do this in our free time. Like my wife is in the other room right now. She's like, she lets me do this in my free time. We're not getting paid to do this. So we love discussing. So feel free to text us or comment or whatever, if you ever want to talk about it. So guys, with that, we are done. And I'm excited about next week. Next week is our rookie draft episode. So
happy Memorial Day, everyone.
Happy Memorial Day. This will come out a little early. I'm sure we'll just text that to you. I don't know why I have to tell you that now at the end of the episode. But feel free to listen next week for the rookie draft stuff, and we'll get moving with all that. So, all right, guys, we'll see you. We'll see you later. Any thoughts, Pat? You guys?
This is for the troops.
Come on, man.
See you guys next week.
Oh man, that makes me so laugh.
The reason we're not going to talk about our teams is because that's just a garbage team.
Yeah. Okay.
Boom. Roasted.
Sweep him. About to sweep him.